Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Todd Klindt's SharePoint Netcast number 203, recorded live Monday, June 16th, 2014. I'm your host and NBA Championship MVP, also Todd Klindt, and I've got my sidekick, the Towel Boy.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourself to the crowd here?
My name is Shane Young. I am the sad one that wanted the Heat to win. So.
He did. It's been a rough day for him. And we're in San Antonio, which is kind of a bad place for you to be today. And I'll say that the natives have not been kind. Yeah. I mean, not horrible to you. They don't spit directly at you when you walk
but
by.
Upwind, so
yeah, you can tell they're there. Yeah, so we both flew into San Antonio this morning. It's been pretty crazy around here. I don't know that the downtown is actually still on fire or not. I can't see the views the wrong direction, but
yeah, well, it's really the gunfire that kind of scares me. You know, fire or whatever. Well, these guys get out the Uzis and stuff.
Yeah, every bullet that goes up, it's got to come back down, and that's
don't use logic. That doesn't ever work in this argument.
But yeah, so it's been pretty wild at the castle, which is the Rackspace headquarters here in San Antonio. Pretty crazy with the Spurs having won and all that. So congratulations to them, and Shane's team lost, so double congratulations. That was
To be fair, though, just so we are all clear for next year, I'm not really a Heat fan as much as I am a LeBron fan. So next year when LeBron goes somewhere else, I'll be the fan for them. I'll just follow the bandwagon. So
I heard he was going to drop back into the minors and play for the Iowa Energy. I heard he was going to do that for a season. And
D-League to work on that three-pointer.
exactly. Because they couldn't quite pull it off this season, so he's got a little bit of work to do, and then we'll get him back up. We'll hook him up.
I can see that.
So speaking of Rackspace, we're here at the home office, and while we're here, we're talking to the folks and doing stuff, but we'll tell them about SharePoint.Rackspace.com. I always talk about it. You tell them about SharePoint.Rackspace.com.
It is the greatest website on the planet.
It is the reason the web was invented.
It really is. It's our lovely little website. You can go out there and check out all of our fun stuff around training and services and hosting and pretty much anything SharePoint. And the coolest thing is it's written on SharePoint.
It is.
We've got some Easter eggs out there if you go poking around a little bit.
Open up the web pages and look for the things and tell them about the pew 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 thing.
Oh, yep, Fanati Blaster, right? So if you look out there at SharePoint.Rackspace.com/game, we've got a fun little game. You can spend hours.
And I think it's on the front page somewhere too. You can.
Is it still out there on the front page?
I don't remember.
Yeah, Justin's not very good, so it's hard to say.
Yeah. So someone in the chat room, Mark Chrisman's asking if Shane has the high score. No, and that's a funny thing. So we tested this for hours before it went out. We take our job very seriously, and so I think Andy had the high score before, right?
Jonathan had taken him,
and it was like 40,000 or 20,000 or something. So at Tech Ed, they give away all the crap, and you go up there and you scan your card, and you get a pen or whatever. Well, we were giving away surfaces and drones and all kinds of stuff. But to win the prizes, it wasn't a random drawing. It was all in your control. It was whoever got the top high 3 scores on Fanati Blaster. And so we had a couple folks that just camped out there and put these crazy scores. So the developers themselves that wrote the game, they had high scores of like 40,000. Some dude clocked in like 250,000 or something. He just sat there and played it and played it and played it.
It doesn't even make sense to me.
And I assume he got the Surface. I left a day early. I assume he got...
no one showed up and dropped a 500,000 points or anything.
Yep, and he told us he went back to his hotel room that night and practiced, and then came back. I mean, it was insane.
Well, speaking of hotel rooms, one correction: you said we were here at Castle. We are actually not at Castle. We are in your hotel room in the city of Cincinnati, San Antonio.
Yes.
See? So we correct the correction, and I corrected.
Correct. Yeah. So we were previously at the Castle. Now we're back chilling in my hotel room. My hotel room, not our hotel room. That's how rumors get started. This is not. He has to leave after this is over. Though the woman at the front desk offered to give us the honeymoon suite.
She absolutely did.
She the rotating bed, and sadly, that's not the first time that's been offered to us.
Yeah, she thought she was being clever, so we busted out a story what happened to us in Seattle one time, and she kind of got quiet after that. So
yeah, we were checking into a hotel in Seattle, 3 or 4 years ago, and we were very clearly had arrived together and we're chatting, and I was checking in first because there's only one guy at the desk, and he's going through your name, all that kind of stuff, and he's like, "So do you guys just need one bed then?" He was completely serious as far as I could tell. He thought Shane and I were thinking. I explained to him that wasn't the case with me, but if I did go that direction, I could do way better than this guy, and that I was offended. Not by the orientation, but by the quality of my companionship.
I don't even find that feasible.
Absolutely.
I'm the pretty one. I keep telling you, have some funny cowboy that they've already made fun of on here. This guy.
He gives me character.
Oh, is that what it is?
Character.
Maybe you need more of that spit they were throwing my way today.
But yeah, so that's not the first time that the hotel folks have thought we were, together. He gives off that vibe, right?
Betrothed.
Spoken for. But yeah, so we're in San Antonio this week. So the quality is a little weird for those of you that are getting the recording. There's probably more noise just from the hotel room. I'm not in my office. It'll take me extra longer to get everything out this week. But the great news is this Netcast will come out late this week, and there will be no Netcast next week because I'm going to be in Mexico. So I'm not going to do one from there. You can fill in for me. I give you the login stuff. You can do one.
Hey, I'm willing to try. I mean, if you would entrust me with your baby, I would.
We might try that then. I would let you fill in for me.
I would give it the college try. Do I have to fly to your house and do it from your basement?
Well, that would be cool. One of those planes. We're right by the airport too, so the planes are taking off. So Iowa is a real place. So you could go there.
So Snoopy'd have my back and show me the way.
He'd get behind you. So my cat. When I do my video conferences at work, it's on the same basic setup as my Netcast. And one day during one of the meetings, our new cat, whose name is not Snoopy, but we'll call him Snoopy for this purposes, he got on the desk behind me, so where the monitor usually sits for these Netcasts. He got up there, he stuck his leg in the air, and he just started going to town right in the middle of one of our meetings. And I'm trying not to pay attention to it, but he put on quite a show there before I let him finish. I wasn't going to be. Before I shoot him out. But.
On that note, maybe we should switch back to that agenda.
All right. So maybe next week you guys will get a special one. We'll see. We'll see what we can do.
Special would be the correct word.
Especial, since I'll be in Mexico.
Don't drink the water.
No, I wouldn't dream of it. So we'll move on to the topics. I don't have the screen behind me. I normally change the screen and all that. So we got a few things. One of them, speaking of podcasting, one of the links that I had that I was going to talk about a couple weeks ago and didn't, and then was going to talk about last week and didn't, was a thing that somebody linked on Twitter a couple weeks ago, and it was 7 rules for beginning podcasters. And I bring this up because I've been doing this for a while now, so we're at obviously episode 203. Been doing this for over 5 years now. I still have a lot to learn, and anytime I see a beginning podcasting article, I'm like, there's probably
start there.
Yeah, 7 things in there. I'm probably learned 5 out of that 7. But again, I've been doing this for a while, and so people come to me. I've had, within the last couple of months even, I've had people asking me, hey, I kind of want to do a podcast, but I don't know when to start, and all that kind of stuff. So I thought this was a good primer. So you and I have talked about this a lot, and then I think the next time we get asked to do a keynote, hopefully there's a next time, I think probably the theme will be that everybody has something to share. Everybody has something to give. And I think not enough people believe that. And I've had a couple of people come to me and say, well, I've thought about doing a podcast, but I'm like, no, absolutely, do it. If you've had the thought, if the glimmer has been in your eye, absolutely go do it. You know something that other people don't know. Absolutely. You're going to do that. And so this article came out, and I thought it was a good thing. It's one of those things I'm going to start sending people when they ask me this. But I definitely think that anybody who has any desire, if the thought has ever occurred to anybody, I should do a podcast or write a blog or do whatever, the answer is you absolutely should do it. Shane used to blog. He hasn't blogged in like 6 years now.
And 2.
It's been at least 5. But if you've got, he's going to fire it up
right back.
Yeah. But there's always, that thing is, in order to be an expert to somebody, you just need to know one thing that they don't know.
Yep.
And, for God's sakes, that's not even close. Look at the one, Jesus, so 2012.
2.5 years exactly. It's like I'm dialed into myself.
Or 1.5 years.
Hey.
Depending on how you want to do that math. But I think everybody's got something to offer. So this podcast thing, again, I think is a good thing. So I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on all 7 steps. I'll let you guys read them. But one of them, number 1, is don't wait, record. And that's a good idea. So I've seen people, and I saw in number 2, don't be a perfectionist. I saw a thing a while back that perfection is the enemy of getting it done or something. It was much more eloquent when I saw it.
Well, it's the whole great is the enemy of good.
Yeah, something like that. But this idea that, I can't do it because I don't have everything perfect. You'll never get it perfect. Lord knows I've been doing this 5 years.
Yep.
Tonight's episode will be a shining example of how I don't have it perfect. But but you can iterate. You can get a little bit better every time, a little bit better. And so that's, if you've got an idea, get it out there and get started.
Well, the interesting thing about that is you can use the same storyline almost for like becoming an entrepreneur, right? Some people, I want to start a business, but I don't exactly have this piece.
I'm afraid to fail. I'm afraid to screw it up.
Yeah, what am I going to do about this? I need to go work out. No, go do it, right? If you've got that passion, you want to try it, roll with it. I mean, you're not going to get it perfect, but
nope.
Don't let, that's a great quote. Don't let great be the enemy of good.
Yeah, and it's funny. I just had this conversation with a friend a couple of nights ago. They're trying to do a very small business, not a startup or anything like that, but a small business. They've got it out on Kickstarter, and it hasn't quite got. It probably doesn't look like they're going to meet their goal. Yeah. So they were very disappointed, and I'm like, number one, you're 2 steps ahead of me. I've never even gotten that far. But yeah, don't be afraid to fail. It's not the end of the world. And it's going to give you an idea what to do differently the next time. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So business-wise or podcast-wise or whatever, don't wait. Just go ahead and give it a shot. You'll figure out what you're doing wrong and start doing things better. So number 3 is don't be afraid to experiment. And I haven't done a lot of that, but that's I can't do this one thing right. I don't want to get too excited. But it's this idea that, don't be afraid to try different things. And it's kind of an extension of don't be afraid to start.
Yeah.
But, this guy gives an example about how he tried some different things. And I guess I've done theme shows and stuff like that. But don't be afraid. Stretch it out, see what works, see what doesn't work. Number 4, set a schedule and try to keep to it. I think that's a big one, especially if you've got a live audience like we do for this. I don't do a good job of keeping to a schedule of producing them.
Right.
But I definitely improve that. But you definitely, you and I both listen to podcasts. If it doesn't come out the day it's supposed to come out, you start to lose faith, start to lose interest.
Yeah.
Like I listen to a bunch of like Freakonomics always comes out on Thursdays. Freakonomics doesn't come out some Thursday. I'm like, hey, what's going on? So definitely plan to do that. And that's one of the reasons that we're doing this tonight instead of sitting down by the pool. Yep. Because you got to keep on a schedule, got to keep, and stick to it.
Yeah, I think that was one of those things you really had to fight with in the beginning. If I think back 5 years ago, right, it was that commitment to do it every Monday night. But I think that's really what's paid off a lot for you. It's just, you got all these crazies in the chat room because you commit to every Monday night.
The hooligans, and most of them should be committed as well. So I do it, and so I'm up to, there's obviously roughly 52 Mondays a year, and I'm up over 40.
Better not do.
Well, see, there's 52 weeks in a year, and every week has a Monday, and so depending on where the year starts, your parents should have had this talk with you when you were younger. But yeah, I think being consistent and sticking to it is a big thing because if I don't show up on Mondays, and like when I go to Australia, maybe I'll have you filling for me then too. And that's going to be 2 weeks.
Pressure. Oh,
yeah, the pressure. You got to keep up this high standard of quality of content.
So get a hotel room, turn off all the lights. Okay.
Don't have any idea what you're going to talk about. But yeah, that's a big thing, that consistency. So that's a big thing. Don't worry about your audience figures. That's a good one too. And I honestly don't look at. We'll pull that out in editing.
Thank you.
I don't look at my audience numbers that much. No, I have recently because my MVP renewal comes up in a couple of weeks, and so I have to report back to how many downloads I've had and that kind of stuff. But I honestly don't look at it too much because I get a lot of feedback from other places. I see people on Twitter that talk about it. I get emails from people, hey, you mentioned this in your podcast. So that kind of lets me know that there's people, consuming it and all that. But I it's like the stock market. Now you were breaking that rule today. You were out checking your stocks while you're getting set up. But it's one of those things you don't obsess about those numbers because you drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm crazy. I look every day.
Yeah, multiple times most days.
Yes.
Another one of these is don't worry too much about your initial setup. And I think that's a good one too. Clearly, I didn't worry much about my initial setup. When we did number 200 a while back, I put out a snippet from my first one.
Yeah.
I put that at the beginning with the headset and by the cat box and all that. So I clearly didn't let the quality stop me from jumping out. But my setup has gotten a lot better over the years with a couple of exceptions as we've gone along. Got a better mic, got better cameras, I got lighting now, I got the background. Again, iterations. You're not going to start perfectly. You're gonna move into it.
You wear clean shirts most of the time now?
Most of the time.
That was a big change. I noticed you started wearing the nice shirt every week for the show.
It's things like that. And the last one is have fun and get involved. Now, this is one of the things I do have fun, and I get involved with the crowd, but they're talking about like podcasting groups and all that, and I haven't done any of that, and I probably should reach out to some of those folks.
Well, you went to the conference a couple times.
I've gone to the New Media
You told
Expo.
me you did when I paid for it, so remember that conference?
The conference, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. But I know there's like podcasting rings and that kind of stuff, and one of the things that they talked about at that conference that I went to is reaching out to other podcasters and saying, hey, I'll be a guest on your show if you let me plug my podcast, and then on my podcast I'll plug the fact that I'm on your show, and that will, and I've done that in the past. I've done it with the Moss Show. I've been on there with Hilton a couple of times. I've been on the Pod Show with Rob and those guys, but I haven't really reached out and done much of that. I should probably do that.
Get outside your comfort range.
And I guess the thing is, I just figure, I can't believe anybody downloads my show. I can't imagine that anybody wants me on their show. So I just never think to do that, but I should probably push that a little harder. But that's kind of what number 7 is.
Says the guy who's been on Windows Weekly, right? That's hard to believe anyone would ever want you anywhere.
That was not too bad. That was not too bad.
It's pretty cool.
But I think, for anybody, if you're listening to this and you've ever had any aspirations of doing a podcast, do it. Read these 7 things, and I think it's a good place to start. I am certainly glad that I did it. It's opened up a lot of possibilities for me.
Don't wear matching blue shirts.
I think it's adorable. I think it's absolutely adorable.
It's sponsored by Under Armour.
And it got real dark. The lighter it is in here, the more they look the same. So that was good stuff, and I've been meaning to talk about that for a while. So, all right, moving on to actual SharePoint-y stuff. Within the last week, the June 2014 CUs for all the SharePoint products came out. They've been trying to hit the Patch Tuesday thing, so the second Tuesday of the month. Mm-hmm. They sort of hit it this month. They got all the knowledge base articles out, but not all the downloads, and it was a crazy one this week. So for SharePoint Server 2013, they've got Foundation and Server and Project Server.
Okay.
So they got all the knowledge base articles out. The most complicated of all of those is Project Server. They got that one out right away. But they didn't have SharePoint Server and they didn't have Foundation. And then like a day later, some of the server patches came out, but it was missing the installer. So now, the patches are greater than 2 gigs, so it's multiple files.
Right.
So it was all the files except for the file that actually kicks it off. So you could download like 2 gig of cap files and there's nothing to do with them. So then 3 or 4 days later, that came out, and then the Foundation patch finally came out, which is the most simple of all. But they're all out as of now. And no big problems that I've seen so far. One thing I would like to confirm, they had that whole Service Pack 1 thing where if you install this patch, it breaks the ability to add another patch. Mm-hmm. So if you don't patch this patch, you can't patch your thing. I can confirm that if you have the original SP1, you cannot install the June 2014 CU. And I can confirm if you try it 3 times in a row, it sticks to its guns and will not let you install it.
What about 4?
I did not try 4 because after 3 it occurred to me what I was doing. So it was kind of funny because it doesn't fail right away and it doesn't give you any idea what's going on. So first I downloaded the first 2 files and then couldn't install them.
Right.
And then waited like 3 days and downloaded the 3rd file and fired it off in a VM, and it ran and it ran and it ran, and I watched it go a little bit and I kind of lost track of it. And I hadn't run the Russ Maxwell script that makes it run in like 15 minutes. So instead it was like going to be an hour or whatever. So I lost track of it, and then I came back however long, and it just said update failed. I'm like, I'll do it better. So I copied Russ Maxwell's script in there, and I'll talk about that in a minute when I get into the story. I fired off the script, it ran, came back, update failed. I'm like, man, what's going on? So I reboot my VM, I do stuff, I do it again, it fails the 3rd time. I'm like, man, what is going on? And I thought for sure it had Service Pack 1. I ran the config wizard to make sure Service Pack 1 was buttoned up. Yep. And then as that's going on, I'm like, son of a... And sure enough, I checked in and it was the original Service Pack 1. So,
nice.
So no matter how hard you try, you just can't wedge those patches in.
So that Russ Maxwell script, I haven't done that one.
So if you, on SharePoint 2010, installing a patch took kind of a long time.
Right.
SharePoint 2013, it could take an hour, easy. And it's because of all these other things, search, all the stuff that it does, and the distributed cache, all the stuff it does. So a guy at Microsoft, Russ Maxwell, wrote a script that basically goes through and pauses everything and shuts everything that SharePoint doesn't need down installs the patch, and then starts everything back up. So the patch literally does take like 15 minutes to install, which if you talk to any of our guys, I mean, that 15 minutes is like a cheetah.
Yeah. Hours, 15 minutes, it's all the same, right?
Yeah. So his script works pretty well. And it's the same script for, I mean, you just need one copy of it. You drop it in the same directory as the patch, you run the script, it finds the patch, it pauses everything. I can't recommend it enough. And for those of you that haven't used it before, if you go to toddklindt.com/SP2013 builds, not only is that the hottest site on the web for SharePoint patching, but there's a link to Russ's script in there. So you can grab it from there.
Well, so speaking of your list of builds, so if I was going to do, where should I be today? If you're like brand new server, we'll start with that one. Brand new server, starting from scratch, where should I be?
So that's a question that comes up a lot, and I am hesitant to ever recommend a patch.
Fair.
So I think what I'm going to do, because I get asked this all the time, is I think I'm going to add a column or something that denotes which patch I install. So I'm not recommending a patch.
But Todd's farm is here.
But when I build new farms, this is what I build.
Okay.
Right now I'm putting Service Pack 1 on. The April cumulative update had lots of problems.
Yes.
Legendary in its problems. And the security patch that came out after that, every bit as bad. So the June is kind of the next one that would be under consideration, but it just came out a week ago. And so that's where I'm at now. So for SharePoint 2013, Service Pack 1. For SharePoint 2010, I kind of lost track. I haven't installed SharePoint 2010 in a while.
Yeah.
So I think what I've kind of been playing around with doing, and I need to flesh this out. There's a bunch of people in the chat room that use my list, so I'll probably bounce it off of them too. But I thought about maybe taking the patch that I would install and bolding it. So if you scroll through the list, it's bold. And then if there's any that are particularly bad, maybe make those red or something like that. I don't know. But it does come up a lot, and I'm hesitant to recommend a patch because there's so many weird things, fixes this but breaks that.
Right, absolutely, yeah, and I think that's a great way to put it. This is the one that, maybe that's how you do it, as of 6:15, this is the patch that Todd Klindt would install on his
Most likely, yeah. Yep. That's probably how I'll do that.
And so would you say if I'm running RTM today, are we ready to move to Service Pack 1?
Absolutely, yeah. If somebody's running an RTM, they should have put the March 2013.
Okay, so if I'm a March, yeah, you're correct. March 2013.
Well, there's a lot of RTM farms out there still, but yeah, I think Service Pack 1 is the way to go. It's been out since March and February, depending on which Service Pack 1 you
or which calendar you use. Is it a Julian or the?
It's been out. Besides that whole nasty breaks patching bug. But if you install it with the MSDN stuff, you don't have that problem. It's been pretty solid, and it adds the Yammer support and the OneDrive for Business support. So it's they're edging us into that hybrid scenario that we keep hearing so much about. So I think it's pretty stable. I think it's good. I mean, we've been doing some stuff at work. That's what we're doing it on. Service Pack 1's kind of the way to go.
Fair enough. That's solid information, right? It changes on a weekly basis. So as of today, Netcast 203.
As of 8:56 Central Time, it is Service Pack 1.
And if people hear the edit over, we need to change your mind between now and production time. Well, they'll never know this, right?
If our mouths don't match. Yep. But another thing that I wanted to talk about with that is Microsoft has, within the last few months, changed their stance on whether we should patch App Fabric or not.
Oh, okay.
App Fabric is the thing that is the distributed cache.
Ugh.
And when SharePoint 2013 first came out, they're like, hands off, pretend it's not even there.
Right.
We will take care of that when we patch SharePoint. Except they don't take care of that when they patch SharePoint. So a few months ago, they came out and said, about that thing about not patching it, well, you should be patching it, and not only should you be patching it, it should be at this, cumulative update 3 or 4 or something like that. And so I added that. Boy, if I didn't add that to my patch page, I meant to add that to my patch page. I think I haven't yet. So you want to work that App Fabric stuff in. I think the recommended value that they're telling you to be at is a cumulative update 4 for that, but cumulative update 5 is out. And everybody that I've talked to that's put 5 on has had no problems with it. So kind of the big thing with that, put cumulative update 4 on, but it's tricky. You have to go in and and that was the link there we go. You have to go in and tweak some stuff. So you can't just do the next finish. There's actually text files you have to open and tweak, and it goes out of its way to be tough to patch. But as you're looking at the patching, you got to patch SharePoint. If you've got the Office web apps, you got to patch those.
Yep.
If you've got the workflow manager, you got to patch that, even if it's on your SharePoint servers. And now you have to also patch the distributed cache. So the first 3 of those are on. my SP 2013's build page. The last one I've got in OneNote. I just haven't copied over there.
Gotcha.
That poor blog post is getting busy. I went in a couple of weeks ago and added anchor tags so you could jump down to them.
Yep.
Got into the HTML, got my hands all dirty.
Oh gosh.
And SharePoint and I are having a tough time coming to an agreement on how that page should look.
Two weeks of wasted time there.
It's been painful.
But so I mean, I think it's an interesting point that when we talk about what patch you would install. You might even have to start kind of matrixing that, right? Being like, hey, I would install these in conjunction because...
Yeah, so there's a few examples of stuff where you have to have SharePoint at a certain patch level for the Office web apps to be patched to a certain level and to keep all that straight. So yeah, I had planned on for all 4 of those packages bolding the ones that I, would be my base install. But yeah, it's something I just have to keep on top of because every 2 months it changes. I mean, every 60 days I got to start all over. But it's been a pretty busy blog post on my blog. So there's currently, there's obviously demand for it. People are confused by it. So
service packs always are, right? So you make fun of my blogging skills, but back in 2007 when I last blogged, my Service Pack 2 install blog post has got, I think, over 100,000 hits. I mean, it's just crazy.
It's a recurring problem. So yeah, I'll keep on that. And I guess one of the things I want to talk about is for those of you out there that consume that blog post and read it, I've made a bunch of changes to it recently, and a lot of that's for feedback from you guys. So if you have any requests on how I should format that differently or information that I should add to it that I don't have, by all means, let me know. And I've got a couple. Let's just pull it up and look at. So that's good stuff right there. So there's Russ's blog post. That takes 5 minutes to install. App Fabric needs to be patched. That is perfect. I don't know that you could change it.
Well, so the thing I would tell you, TLDR.
Yeah. So I've thought about that. For those of you that aren't hip like Shane and I are, that's too long. Didn't read. I thought about having a link at the top that would take you to the latest.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying, I worry that are you losing some of this because it's like,
it's all good stuff. Every word of that is gold. I mean, I just couldn't take one word out. They're all.
Just need to find a way to organize it. You must do this or something in bold.
All right.
You must do this, right? So App Fabric needs to be patched. That falls under your you must do, but the Rust thing falls under the list of things you should do. So maybe put some headings in there.
Yeah, so again, if you agree with Shane, and Lord knows nobody does, if you agree with Shane, by all means, you can hit me on Twitter at Todd Klindt. You can leave a comment on that blog post. You can email me, todd.klindt@rackspace.com.
Yeah, Twitter, just use the hashtag Shane was right.
Nobody's ever used that hashtag in the history of Twitter. There are like 40 squillion tweets an hour, and for how many years now? 6 years? That's never been.
Bet you $1 by the end of the show there's someone out there who's tweeted Shane was right.
I will close this podcast out and never broadcast again if somebody does that. I will kill it.
That's a service to society right there. Give me $1 here. Hang on, folks.
Jeez. So yeah, if you've got any suggestions on that, let me know. I've got a couple of things that I'm kind of working on, ideas, like adding the App Fabric and all that kind of stuff. But I'm always open to suggestions on how I can make that better.
It's great information, and it just shows, right? I mean, I'm in this stuff, but that's not nearly as deep as you. And we start talking, and I'm like, oh, well, crap, I didn't think of that. So
it's painful. Good on me.
Good on you.
And Lori already linked Victor's blog post. I did want to mention that. Victor Weiland's got a blog post on how to correctly patch the App Fabric. So I'll link it in my thing eventually when I get that stuff added. But again, it's not just next, finish. There's some considerations, things like that. Things like the distributed cache sits in RAM a lot. So you can't just patch it and kill it, or you might lose stuff. So you have to shut it down gracefully so it flushes everything out. Yeah. It's
well, then you get lost in the whole, you can have too many resources for those servers, and that thing is just, it's more trouble than it's worth.
You can actually give the distributed cache too much RAM.
Doesn't even make sense. Yeah, sorry, hang on, I'm gonna get $1. Hang on a second. Okay.
Oh, good Lord! Just everybody killed on that. So yeah, read Victor's blog post on that, on how to patch the App Fabric.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're coming up on we'll skip that. So the last time you were on was when we were in San Francisco.
Yep.
And the Windows Phone 8.1 stuff had just come out. You had just gotten your 1020 that day. So you hadn't had a chance to really play with it and experience it and love Windows 8.1. So you wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and so usually I talk about my phone, and I won't do it this time, but the camera, right? That was the reason I bought that phone.
Yep.
It blows my mind. It is amazing. We won't get lost there.
I won't talk about the camera, but it's amazing.
Amazing.
It blows my mind, but I'm not going to talk about it. But it's great, but I'm not going to
I'll start showing pictures of my kids, you know. But no, so Cortana, I think, has been one of the most interesting and maybe one of the best new features of Windows 8.
Yeah, and I talked about that a little bit last week and some of the tips that I use, like the coupon thing and stuff like that. But I think the big thing with Cortana is just discovering the stuff that it can do.
Yes.
So you had a couple of things that you use Cortana for.
Yeah, so I think the big one for me that I found was it reads your email, right, which is kind of creepy. But so if you hit the button, the search button, which takes you to Cortana, and then you scroll just up, it'll give you, your feed. It'll start asking questions like, "Hey, I saw you got an email about Delta flight DL3618. Do you want me to track this?" And if you hit yes, then it hooks into flight trackers, one of the flight tracker websites, and so it's giving me landing times, what gate I'm at, if it's delayed, and that type of stuff.
Yeah. So the crazy thing about that is, so that when you scroll up, it gives you a bunch of stuff. It gives you your current weather, it gives you some news, depending on what your interests are, but then it brings that up. So Shane and I were looking at it. Shane and I were we both flew in today, both flew in on Delta, both made our flights about the same time. It doesn't show up for me. And I don't think I've ever had it show up for me. And there's a setting in there that says, "Hey, Cortana, stalk my flights for me." We both have it checked. For whatever reason, it just doesn't work for me. So I'll have to look into that and see why.
I wonder if you kill it and turn it off, turn it back on type of deal or something. But
that might be.
So that's a nice one. Quiet hours, I've been a big fan of that. Oh. That saved me as recently as Father's Day, a couple days ago there. Trying to text me at 6:30 in the morning, that phone said,
yeah. Shane needs his beauty sleep. He
absolutely.
And so quiet hours, for those of you that haven't used it yet, you can set up your circle of trust, your inner circle. And if somebody tries to text or call or do anything that makes noise in the quiet hours you define, if they're not in the inner circle, it doesn't make any noise. I mean, the text still comes through or whatever, just doesn't make any noise. So yeah, I love that to death. I've got that all set up. One of the great things for me is I've got a charger on my bed, or next to my bed, not on my bed. That'd be weird. But it's one of the wireless chargers. And when I used to set my phone in, it would chirp.
Yep.
Irritated the crap out of me. But now, if I drop it in the charger after quiet hours, it doesn't chirp. So I'm in love with it for no reason other than that.
So yeah, the quiet inner circle though, you gotta be careful with that one. So like my wife has 2 cell phones. One's work, one's personal.
Right. And then her burner that she
But so I put her personal in there. I didn't put her work cell phone. And so she was out the other night, and she needed me to come pick her up, and she texted me at 10:58. My quiet hour started at 11. If it had been 2 minutes later, my butt would have been in trouble.
Yeah. So, she'd taken your house and your kids, and she'd
she earned it. But, so the thing I guess I'm saying is, when you start that inner circle, it's real easy. But there's like 2 people in the world that ever let me bother me.
Yep.
Really, there might be more than 2.
Yeah, so I think by default it does people that knows your family. So people with the same last name and stuff like that. I don't think I've ever had anybody that had 2 addresses or 2 phone numbers. That's weird that it didn't have them both.
Well, because one is like Nick and one is Nick's office or something.
Okay.
And that was really my fault for not just saving them both as mobile numbers. But when she first got the office number, I thought she'd never use that, so I put it over here in a corner.
Yep.
Turns out, her burner wasn't working, so she had to use that one.
No one puts Nick in the corner.
How sweet.
Yeah, so the inner circle thing has been pretty sweet. I definitely like that. The Cortana thing, we've the whole, and I think I've talked about this, reminding you to get stuff at the store. Yeah. That was his idea. He's the first one that gave me that idea. I use that all the time now. Everything knows if I use the last drop of milk or if it's getting close, I'm like, remind me to get milk next time I'm at the store. That kind of stuff.
Now, do you talk to yours a lot?
I do for stuff like that. And I've gotten better as the software has gotten better. I've gotten better at talking to my phone, but I don't do it if I'm around people. That seems kind of rude to like, everybody be quiet, I want to talk to my phone. But for the reminders, I do it. And I tell you, so like this morning we had flights this morning. I don't even piss with the alarm settings anymore. I'm like, wake me up tomorrow morning at 5. It just sets an alarm. It's so much easier than blah, settings, alarm, whatever. Yeah. So I use it for that kind of stuff all the time.
So, well, that's interesting, right? So the other thing that's like that you have to remember to use and kind of pick and choose, it's a swipe keyboard.
Oh, I love the swipe keyboard.
Yeah, and I love it as well, right? It actually works, which is shocking. But I have to like switch my mindset. Like if I'm just going to do quick messages, I usually just thumb it and boom, boom, boom. But if it gets in a long conversation, I have to like make the mental switch, stop, switch to swiping.
I saw a great term. Somebody had sent something and it was messed up, and they said, "Oh, sorry, it was a swipo." They had drawn something and hadn't checked the word, and yeah, so I thought swipo. That's pretty good. I do that. So I love the swipe. That was a weird thing, and I've talked about this on the podcast before. I had the swipe keyboard for Android.
Yep.
And tried it on there and hated it. Tried it for like 20 minutes, couldn't make heads or tails of it, and just never looked at it again. So when it came to Windows Phone, I'm like, this thing is worthless. Somebody challenged me to use it for like a day. It might even have been you, I don't remember. And I've loved it ever since. It's awesome.
Well, and maybe the audience can help it. At TechEd, I saw someone using a Surface with a swipe keyboard. But neither of us can make our Surfaces do it, so I don't know if it's an add-on.
Yeah, it was somebody in our day-long class.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, we saw him down there doing the thing with the thing. Going to town. Yeah.
He made that noise every time. It's kind of awkward.
But it was kind of cool. Yeah, I would love that. And I try to do that, like especially on my Dell Venue 8, which is 8 inches. So it's kind of phone-sized-ish. Yeah. My head thinks like that. It wants to draw. But yeah, I would love that.
Hopefully someone can find it.
Yeah, so I would love that. So yeah, and Lori brings up an interesting thing. When you do the whole wake me up at 5, it is actually creating alarms for you. So it does set all those things there. If you ever go look in your alarms, they do all show up.
So it's got a giant list in yours.
I probably do. I use it all the time. It's good stuff. So I've been really happy with the Windows Phone 8. I've had some Bluetooth issues. The Bluetooth doesn't seem as stable now. They did put an update out last week or the week before. Did you get that?
I did not. I've not gotten an update yet.
Yeah, there's been one probably in the last week or two. So just, settings, system updates, and it'll download it. It seems to help a little bit with the Bluetooth, but like it doesn't talk to my car as well anymore. I've got a shower speaker. Well, you know all about that. But that gets a little hinky sometimes that it didn't before. But I think overall I'm still pretty happy with it. Yeah. But yeah, if you've got Windows Phone 8.1, go out there and check for an update because there has been one.
Any word on when they're going to push 8.1 to the masses? Because I know we had to hack it on ours. Not hack it, but
Yeah, I think Microsoft is doing this kind of right. Where I think what we have now is RTM, and they'll continue to be these little iterative updates. Mm-hmm. I think what it's going to come down to is the carriers. I think at some point Microsoft is going to send some gold code out to AT&T, and then they'll sit on it for a year or whatever they do, adding their crappy whatevers to it and pushing it out. Now, the other thing is what we've been getting from that developer preview is the OS. What we haven't got is the firmware updates.
Right.
And that's something that AT&T and Nokia are going to have to get together. So at some point we will get something from the carrier that will add stuff.
But still no dates or...
Haven't heard anything. They might be out there. But honestly, once I started getting the developer previews, I kind of quit paying attention to all that because I had it.
Yeah.
But I've got a 920, you've got a 1020. I don't know that there are any firmware things for that. The people that have like the 1520, once they get the firmware update, they'll be able to do the Miracast, some of that wireless video stuff like that. But that's all driver based.
My 1520 is the phablet.
Yeah, it's a little bigger than my Surface here. Just a little bit bigger than my Surface.
It's
not
pocket
a lot.
Size.
Yeah, it's if you got. But it's everybody that I've talked to that has a 1520 has said they love it. I have not talked to a 1520 owner that said, good phone, just too big. Never heard of it. I might be talking to the wrong folks, but...
and I think it's just that it's for them. It's probably just the apps, right? You find that one feature. Me, it's the camera. It's just, you find that feature, you grasp onto. And
maybe as I get older, I'll want bigger and bigger phones. I don't know. So that was good stuff. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, and really this was because a couple of people who are listeners of the Netcast have asked about it. I broke down a couple of weeks ago, and I bought myself one of those drones, one of the little quadricopters.
Oh, yes.
So I kind of wanted to mention that because it's kind of gadgety, kind of geeky, and I control it with my Windows device, so there's kind of a thing with that. So I got one of the new ones. It is a Parrot AR.Drone with GPS.
Say that 5 times fast.
I I'm not convinced I said it right the first time. So it is a quadricopter. It's got the fans, the rotors, propellers on the four corners. And it wasn't bad. I've been seeing these things out there for like $1,000 and $1,500. This was $350, which I mean is on the high side. Definitely had to go to the weekly meeting for the Klindt family budget and argue the case for it.
No college fund for the kids that week.
Well, the little one, we get lots of time to save for his college. He'll be fine. But so it's a pretty cool thing. So Parrot is one of the companies that makes a lot of these. They used to make like the Bluetooth headset stuff, and now they've kind of branched off into quadricopters. And it's got like a styrofoam hull, and it's got one for inside, which has got things that surround the blade so you don't end up chopping somebody's head off or poking their eye out.
Snoopy.
And then it's got an outside one that's kind of lighter, doesn't have all that. But the cool thing about it is it doesn't come with a controller. No controller. So when you plug the drone in and you turn it on, it turns itself into a Wi-Fi hotspot. And then on any device that has wireless, iPhone, iPad kind of stuff, Android, phone or tablet, full-blown Windows or Windows RT, or a third-party wrote a Windows Phone app, you just lock onto that access point, load the app up, and it can see the drone. And so it's pretty cool. So I've been using my Delvin U8, so it's got the 8-inch screen, and it's got first-person view, and I watch it live. It's got a camera in the front, and then a camera that points down, and I just load it up. I see where it's at. I hit the takeoff button. It shoots up in the air. I can control it. I can stream the video live. I can record the video to an onboard USB thing or whatever. And it's been pretty fun. Now, I've only had it a couple of days, and I've been gone. I haven't been playing with it much. But so far, pretty cool.
Nice.
Pretty fun.
That's and you were saying it flies pretty, because we've all done the RC copter, right? Which sounds like a lot of fun, but you can't make that thing do anything besides fly in a circle.
Run into stuff and fall down. Yeah, so this, when you kind of break it down, the drone itself is actually just a little Linux computer. Just a little Linux computer, and it's self-stabilizing. So one of the great things about it is you've got this tablet and you've got all these controls, but as soon as you take your fingers off, it just hovers. It just stops and hovers. And it will just hover in one spot until you tell it otherwise. Now, when I was doing it outside this weekend, and there was kind of a storm coming in. It was pretty windy, so it had a tough time keeping up, but for the most part it would just stay in one spot and just hang out there till I put my thumbs back on it and told it to do something, run into the wall or the fence or whatever. The
garage, I think, was the last thing.
The garage was one of the, I've got some great video of it hitting my garage. So it's a fun little toy. I've been enjoying it. The kids like it, because they can watch it, and I'll get the kids on separate ends of the driveway, and one will watch me watch the other with the drone, and and it's funny. We were talking about this earlier. Whenever anybody hears drone, the first thing they think of is that I'm going to be flying this thing outside my neighbor's windows,
which you've already looked into,
and doing unscrupulous things. Well, I don't have any neighbors that are, there's no fun in that. No disparagement.
No one looks like this?
I'm just, oh God. But the thing is, if you look at any of the video that these kind of drones, especially one at the bottom of the price range like mine is, the camera just isn't like that. Like I don't have a telescopic camera. I can't sit 1,000 feet away and zoom in through somebody's window. It just doesn't work like that. It's kind of got a fisheye lens. It's really the camera's really optimized for taking big high shots of stuff, big scenic things. So you can't really do that kind of stuff. And I was one of my neighbors is kind of into that kind of stuff, so him and his kids came over, and we were standing there watching, control it, and I sat it down and took a picture of it, because you can just take snapshots of it. And in order for it to take a snapshot that was recognizable as us and all that kind of stuff, the drone was maybe 12 or 15 feet away, right at eye level, making that buzzing noise and all that. There would just be no way that I could sneak up on somebody without them knowing. Maybe if I get better at the controls, I don't know. But it's a fairly safe thing. I'm not worried about what's and just hovering everywhere, and I'm not worried about that at all.
So, but no missiles or anything. I mean, when I think of drones, I think a Reaper drone coming in. And,
I'm afraid I can't answer that.
Well, because really, if you think about it, if it's a Linux computer,
it
had a USB port. You could put one of those USB.
It does have a
Nerf
USB
guns.
Port. Yeah.
That would be the hack. Can you add a USB dart gun to...
I don't know. So it does just have a USB drive. And so the model that I have has that USB port, and then it's got this GPS box that plugs into it.
Okay.
That will record the video. And then and I don't know if this is a shortage or a problem with the controller or what, but supposedly with that unit, I'm supposed to be able to tell it to just go back to wherever I lit it up from. But that button doesn't show up on my thing, so I don't know if it's the Windows app doesn't have it or what. But it is just a USB port, and then I can also put a USB thumb drive either in that or in the GPS unit, and it can record the video to that. So there is just a USB port, so I'd never thought about trying to find USB accessories. And I was reading online, you know, once that thing comes up, it has an IP address. People have hacked into that, telnetted into that box that is your drone, and started poking around and figured stuff out. So I don't see why not. That would be pretty cool, though.
There you go. I look forward to the mod. Once again, let's show you back. So Shane, someone gave me this great idea. Who could it be?
Nobody remembers it that way at all. So Lori's talking about it would be fun to play hide and seek. I haven't gotten good enough yet that I can control it when I can't see it. Because but again, so the battery lasts about 10 or 12 minutes. I've taken it up 3 times. So I've got just a little under half an hour of time under my belt. But again, with this GPS unit, supposedly I'm able to put it in director mode and tell it to go places and come back. So that would be cool.
I look forward to how you progress with this beast.
It's a lot of fun. It's been, you know, and I get, so right now the FAA has ruled that it is illegal to use drones for commercial purposes. So you can't use them for anything. But I've been kind of thinking about all the different ways that these can be used. Like one of my neighbors does construction, and he's like, this would be awesome to get big views of before and after work I do in houses. You know, take the drone and just do a big sweep of the house, and then when he gets done, do another big sweep of the house and just show the before and after. I got another buddy who owns a tree service, and he's like, that'd be awesome to be able to send that thing up and look at the tree and see what's in there, and all that kind of stuff. So it's, I mean, I can see some non-peeping Tom uses for the thing.
Why did you buy it again?
Chase my kids around, really.
Okay.
You know, you're always hearing about childhood obesity and how that's a big deal. I don't want to chase them around myself. That sounds like an awful lot of work. But yeah, sending an automated drone after them and chasing them down, because they are scared of it. And with me at the helm for good reason.
Has Snoopy seen it? Is Snoopy afraid?
I don't think he has, because I've only run it outside. So I don't think he was outside any of the times that I ran it.
It'd be interesting. I mean, I know like dogs are bad about chasing like remote control helicopters or remote control cars, so that whirring sound might piss dogs off. So you might want to be careful when neighbors walking a dog by.
Well, and talking about stuff I need to be worried about, there was a story in the news last week of a kid at a beach who just had his drone and was taking these really high, 200 and 300 foot aerial shots, and somebody attacked him. A woman took offense at him doing that, and she physically attacked him, tackled him, called the cops. So while I'm not going to be doing any of that, I got to be used to that. And it was funny, my neighbor, because he knew I had ordered it and all that, and he said he was telling some friends about it. And that was the first thing they said. Oh, he's going to be peeping in windows. I'm not peeping in windows. I don't have enough control. I couldn't. I ended up running into the damn house.
Honey, can you help me stare at the neighbor girl? She's over there.
But you talk about having to be ready for dogs attacking. I got to be ready for humans to attack and just say, listen, I'll show you the video. It's all cool. Yeah. It's all right here. It's all.
I like Naomi said, look, the roof and gutters.
So that actually came up. So I got the drone Friday afternoon. Wednesday night, my wife and I were out doing yard work, and I did have to check the gutters. And I remember, so it was a big joke around our house. I'm like, man, I got to go all the way up there. If I just had this drone, I could, I could do. Oh, God, this is horrible. I got to go get the ladder. But yeah, I absolutely thought about that.
Well, you need to get a little brush or something, because if I think I've got some that I can't get to with a ladder, they're just too high.
I don't have those rich guy problems. My house.
You're third world Iowa country there.
I don't have the palatial Klindt estate that.
One day, but yeah. No, I mean, it would be very helpful. Like, I think that there's probably just a little clump up there. Fly up there, scoop it, and
maybe we get the missile launcher or something like that.
USB, shoot the kids. So.
Yep. Yeah. So for my gutters were plugged. I had like 3 inches of standing water in there. It was not good.
I hope you washed your hands.
I did. Yeah, I had gloves. I don't like to get my hands dirty, so yeah. And that's not a figure of speech. I literally just don't like my hands dirty. But yeah, so we definitely talked about that, getting up there and having the drone. And again, so the one that I have has a camera that looks straight forward and one that looks straight down. So I could have just gotten it up there and then just looked straight down. And so yeah, there's just all kinds of great ideas for that. I think it'll be good. So Merrill's going to spy on his kids with it. Way to go, Merrill. So that was again, that was just kind of a cool thing. I know that people listen to this kind of like those gadgets and stuff.
Random stuff.
So if I show up one week and I'm like missing an eye or something, we'll know. And I was telling Shane, I couldn't. When you control it from the front, and it had turned itself around, and the wind had started to drift it towards the garage, and I was trying to get it away from the garage, but I couldn't. So I was running it into the garage, and I got scared. I just walked over and grabbed it out of midair, so to keep it from running into the garage again. But at some point, yeah, I'm going to lose a finger or an eye or something.
So I think you'd do better if you would put it outside and then go where you couldn't watch it and just use video, right? Because you keep cheating, you keep looking at it. You'd probably be better off if you.
So someday that'll be. I mean, I gotta see where it's at in space, so I don't run it into something I don't see.
Or you've seen stuff you ran into it, so.
Fair.
Garage, big.
In the fence, my 6 foot high. Yeah, it's funny. It was like happening in slow motion. I'm like, no, boom, and I got video of that, so you can actually see it like drifting towards the fence, hitting it, and falling upside down, and my feet upside down, picking it up.
Oh.
That's why I can't have nice things. So yeah, good stuff. Well, we're getting close to time here, so let's talk. We got a couple minutes left. We'll talk about the self-promotion, the places I'm going to be in like a month now. From now, I'm going to go down to Australia for 2 weeks. I'm going to be speaking at the Sharing the Point conference down there. So I'm going to be in Sydney the 15th and 16th of July, in Auckland the next week, the 22nd, 23rd. And then going down there, I've already talked to the Sydney user group. I'm going to be stopping in there that week, and some other folks, Ivan Wilson, John Liu, those guys, saying, hey, if you're going to be in Sydney that week or going to be in Auckland, give me a shout again at Todd Klindt or todd.klindt@rackspace.com. And we'll hook up. But I'm going to be doing our Visual Studio session that we did to much critical acclaim at the SharePoint conference.
I hope you got a new laptop.
I'm going to pre-record my demos.
That's cheating.
It is cheating, and I absolutely agree that it's cheating. I talked to the guys down there, so I think there's only 60-minute sessions instead of 75, and I just didn't want to have the problems that we had. So
yeah, I'm
going to pre-record the demos again. And I told them, like, I feel like this is cheating. And they said, no, it's all cool. A lot of people do it. It's fine. I've done it a couple times. It's always been fine. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to do one with PowerShell and SharePoint Online. So just kind of extending that whole PowerShell, SharePoint Online.
All 16 commandlets.
I think they're like 22 or something now.
Like 3 minutes a commandlet. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fluff with that one. Going to be doing that, and he's going to do those weeks. But if you're going to be in the area, not you, because you don't like to leave the country. But if somebody's going to be around, like I see Bruce in the chat room, Bruce Albany, I met up with him when I was in Sydney last time. Give me a shout. We'll hook up. I'm going to be around for a while, and then it looks like. In September, I'm probably going to be going to Stockholm again for the SharePoint Exchange Forum. Been talking to Jorn Huseman about that, so I go there most years. We're kind of figuring out which sessions I'm going to do, but I'll announce that when that comes up. So that's about it. Do you have any final words for the crowd?
Once again, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
and
we'll see about seeing if you can do one of these next week while I'm gone.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is. I think I have set the bar very high.
No, I'm in the pressure. What if they really fall in love with me and then I can't? The hell with that Todd guy. He actually might have some production quality, right? I'll bring a whole crew in. I'll have like 30 people in there. Digital effects, fireworks.
Yep. Well, watch out what you ask for. you just, because that way I can watch Dancing with the Stars live every Monday night. And
you're a big fan, I know.
It wouldn't be too bad. So thanks everybody. Again, you can reach out to me at Todd Klindt, at Shane's Cows on Twitter, Todd.Klindt@rackspace.com.
Shane.Young@rackspace.com.
There you go. Let us know what you're thinking. Thanks for showing up, and I know this is past your bedtime since you're Eastern.
You're going to go buy me ice cream in some capacity.
So there is an ice cream place.
Yeah,
I remember it's right.
They're closed, but I think the bar has ice cream and brownies.
Yeah, we'll go get some ice cream. We'll do that. But thanks again, everybody. I'll stick around the chat room for a couple of minutes, but we're going to take off. So hopefully next week we'll have something. If not, I'll be back in 2 weeks.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.